I grew up here in California, and the older I get, well, like for the past almost like 10 years, I've had this feeling, or like I just knew that one day I'm gonna have to leave for good. I'm also going back OTR too, like OTR trucking. I'm done with this local shit, dude. It's not working out, man. I left before in 2019. I was living in Nevada. I did that for about almost like 3 years. And when I left in 2019, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I saw that everyone else was leaving, and I saw just how bad it was getting in California. And the main reason why I left is because I realized how easy it is to end up on the streets out here in California, like homeless. That's why I left. So that was like in 2019. That was like early 2019. So I spent 2019 and 2020 in Las Vegas. And at the end of 2020, the pandemic happened. And that's when I saw like just this massive influx of people leaving the state, leaving California. A lot of that had to do with the state being on lockdown, like way longer than any other state. California, they're so progressive. They were on lockdown here for I think like almost like 2 years. The governor had this state like shut down, dude, and people were over it. You couldn't survive like that, so people just left. And now that I'm back, I feel like I'm seeing like the aftermath of that mass exodus. Like people have been leaving even like before, like 2018, even before that, people have been leaving the state. But when I left in 2019, a lot of people were also leaving. But then in 2020, there was this big influx of not just people, but businesses that left the state. And now that I've been back, I can honestly say that this is not the same state. California, it's like its own Detroit now. Like the opportunities, it seems like the opportunities are just not here anymore like they were 10 years ago. 2014, 15, 2016, those were like the highlight years. San Francisco was a lot like Manhattan, New York, and that had a big effect on the rest of the Bay Area. There was just so much money and opportunities and just so many ways to make money and make good money out here that now that I'm back, that's not the case anymore. Not today. Back in the day, back in those years, right? In like the mid 2010s, you had people doing Uber Eats, especially Uber driving, DoorDash, Grubhub, making like 15 to 2 grand a week on those apps. I mean, that's just how much money was out here. Now that I'm back, I can kind of understand why it's been such a struggle for me to get a good trucking job. I mean, I got a job, I'm at work right now, but I'm talking about to get into like a really good company with like a career. I could see why it's so competitive in this market because, a lot of the tech companies have left, and I got a feeling that a lot of the people that were in tech, I guarantee you, a good amount of them got CDLs now. There they go right there. That's where all that noise was coming from, at the shipper next door. I say that because I know people who work in tech who have been laid off, who have been like fired and all this shit, and it's so hard for them to find a job. It's pretty much mission impossible for a lot of them. For a lot of like the computer coders, analysis, all this shit, all these jobs that were once here in the Silicon Valley, in the Bay Area, a lot of them are not here anymore. A lot of them have moved to Texas, Nashville, Arizona, just other parts of the country. And because a lot of the people that I know don't want to leave the state, a lot of them are just not in tech anymore. So I'm willing to bet a lot of those guys, I'm willing to bet a lot of the foreigners, a lot of the Middle Eastern people that worked in tech, when the layoffs happened, and they're continuing to happen, the mass tech layoffs, I guarantee you, a lot of them were related to people in their family who have trucking companies. And all that means is that there's more people in the Bay Area with CDLs that are unemployed. And I'm over here trying to find a local job, dude. Little old me, right? So I'm going back over the road, right? Like not only am I leaving California, but I'm gonna go back to OTR trucking. I'm at a point now where being back home, since shit has not been working out, I'm just over it, honestly. That's where I'm at right now, right? I got depressed over it, but now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm over it. I'm done. My fear of me staying here in California is I'm gonna get old, I'm gonna hit my retirement years, and if I stay here, which I really want to, I think it would be irresponsible of me staying here in California, because when I hit like 65, I'm not gonna have a home to retire at here in California. My parents will be dead by then. I'm gonna end up on the street if I stay here in California. I'm gonna be one of these old homeless people, or I'm gonna collect SSI and have to rent out like a room. I seen a lot of that when I was like looking for a room to live in. Most of the people that I was running into on Craigslist that were renting out rooms and who had roommates were people in like their 70s, 60s, their 80s, renting out a room. I don't want that to be me, dude. It's too expensive here. You know, even if I did make it work somehow and I got a job like at Estes or Saya into like a good company, FedEx, Ground, UPS, right here in the Bay Area, and I'm making like 110, 120K a year. Well, here in San Francisco in the Bay Area, I'm still not gonna be able to afford a home, which means I could still very well end up on the street. All of my money's gonna be going to rent. I'm not gonna be saving, I'm gonna be spending. If I move to like, I'm thinking about Texas. I've been looking at like Houston, Corpus Christi, Dallas, you know, West Texas, just Texas. That seems to be where all the opportunity is. Not just opportunity for like a job or a career, but opportunity to like being able to buy a house. If I made 120 grand working in like oil and gas in Texas, not only would I be like surviving, like I could buy a house where I can actually have my own place, where I could buy other homes with that much money in Texas and be able to afford to buy other homes to turn around and do shit like rent them out, flip them. Here in California, 120 grand, I'm barely gonna get an apartment somewhere in the hood like East Oakland, dude. It's just, I'm not gonna be thriving. I'm just gonna be getting by out here in California. Look, I love it out here in California, but I just have to be honest with myself, man. It's just, this isn't the place to be right now. California, this is the place to leave. I'm gonna go back over the road, right, with whatever company, and I'm just gonna sit my ass down for a year. I'm gonna go back OTR, maybe for like a year and a half. I'm gonna stack up money for a down payment on a house. I'm gonna get that year under my belt of solid OTR. I'm gonna get the automatic restriction off my license, and I'm gonna try to get into like oil and gas in Texas. You know, whether I have to live in like small town, Jesus Christ, all that noise is right there, I'm sorry. If I have to move to the middle of Timbuktu, where the oil fields are in Texas, to be close to where the money is, that's what I'm gonna do. I wanna move to Texas, I wanna buy a home out there in Texas, or buy multiple houses out there in Texas, rent them out, and make good money, and not have all my money go to the government, and just be able to afford to live, and not have to like struggle. And dude, this is not the same state that I grew up in. This is like, I feel like I'm in the aftermath of the mass exodus. Like, people are still leaving. I mean, I'm gonna leave again, but now that I'm back, I could see the damage of all the businesses that have left. I mean, dude, just California and like these $1 million home prices, they're not gonna come down. It's just, the opportunity is gone, dude. The opportunity is not here. This is like a Detroit part 2. Like, already it is, dude. I mean, dude, just be honest with yourself. If you're a youngster, if you're like 18 to 20, 30, in your 30s like me, do you really think that one day you're gonna be able to afford to buy a home out here in California? And look, I got a lot of confidence in myself that, you know, one day I could buy like a house for $1 million in cash. I got a lot of confidence in myself, but just to get started, and you know, no matter what you do, you have to get started. You have to put down roots, and it's really hard to put down roots here in California when everything is just so fucking expensive, man. If I stay here in California for my future, that's gonna be irresponsible of me. And I think the time has come where I just have to go. And that sucks. I really want to stay. My friends and family are here, but I mean, I got to think about my future. And I don't, like, I know that there's no future for me right here. It is what it is, man. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm gonna go back over the road. I've been applying at companies. I hit up my old job, night transportation, JB Hunt, a few other places. I'm gonna go back OTR. I'm not gonna leave California right away. I'm not gonna go to Texas and just start paying rent. I'm gonna live out of the truck for about a year and 6 months, stack up for the down payment, and get into a house in Texas where, I'll be able to afford it. And then once I'm in Texas with that experience under my belt, I'm gonna get my auto restriction off my license and apply for like oil and gas jobs and get on with my life. I mean, it sucks, man. I wanted to make it work out here in California. Look, I know right here on YouTube, I've been talking about, I want to do a reaction channel. I want to do this, that. I even said like I wanted to do mukbang. A lot of that is because I've been struggling to get my shit together. And if I don't got my shit together, everything else in my life comes second. Everything else in my life is in disarray right now. And I'm at a point right now where I accept the fact that it's not going to happen here in California. And, I always said if I made money like that, I would hate to come live in California to just cough it up to the government. So, like I said, I always knew one day that I was going to have to leave California. I left before, and now, I'm pretty sure, I'm leaving again. And this time, it'll be, at least for me, it's going to be for good.